Mara slammed the door so hard the frame shook, then forced the bolt across with both hands, metal scraping loud in the quiet. Her breath came fast, uneven, like she had been running for miles, though the yard outside still sat empty and still. She pressed her back to the wood, eyes shut tight, listening for boots, for gravel, for anything that proved something had followed her. Nothing came. Just the faint hum of the house settling around her. No, no, no. Stay out, she whispered, her voice dry. A soft voice answered from somewhere inside the room, close enough to touch. You closed it too late. Mara's eyes snapped open. Her body went stiff. Who's there? She said, louder now, forcing strength into her voice. You brought it with you. She pushed off the door fast and turned, her hand reaching for the rifle hung above the old cabinet. The wood felt rough under her fingers as she yanked it free and held it out in front of her, arms trembling just enough to show. Show yourself, she said. The room didn't answer. The table sat where it always did. The chair near the stove leaned at the same angle. Dust hung in the air like it had been waiting for her to come back and stir it. Nothing moved. Then the floor creaked behind her. Mara spun around, rifle raised, breath caught halfway in her chest. There was no one there. Just the narrow hallway stretching into shadow, the old mirror at the end cracked from corner to corner. You still think it lives outside, the voice said again, softer now, almost tired. Mara swallowed hard. This is my house. Was. Her grip tightened on the rifle. She stepped forward slowly, each step careful, the boards under her boots giving small complaints. Her eyes didn't leave the hallway. I said show yourself, she snapped. Look harder. She reached the mirror and stopped. Her reflection stared back, pale, eyes wide, hair stuck to her face with sweat. For a moment, nothing felt wrong. Then the reflection blinked slower than she did. Mara froze. No, she said under her breath. The reflection tilted its head just a little more than her own. You never buried it right, the voice said. Mara jerked away from the mirror and backed into the kitchen, knocking her hip against the table. A tin cup rattled and fell, hitting the floor with a sharp clang that echoed too long. Stop it, she shouted. He never stopped talking about you. Her eyes darted to the drawer near the stove. She didn't want to open it. She knew what was inside. Still, her hand moved on its own, sliding it open with a slow pull. The badge sat there, dull under a layer of dust. Sheriff's star. Bent on one side. Mara stared at it. Don't talk about him, she said, her voice lower now. He talked plenty about you. Her fingers hovered over the badge, then closed around it. It felt warmer than it should. Not hot, just wrong. Upstairs, something thumped. Mara's head snapped toward the ceiling. Another step. Slow. Heavy. Her grip on the rifle tightened again. There's nothing up there. It's been waiting. I locked that room. You locked a door. The steps above her paused. Then came a long scrape, like something being dragged across wood. Mara's throat tightened. This isn't real. Say it again. This isn't real. The house didn't answer. The silence pressed in, thicker now, like it had weight. Mara moved toward the stairs, one slow step at a time, the badge still clutched in her hand. The wood beneath her boots creaked louder now, each sound sharp enough to make her flinch. You can't be here, she muttered. I never left. Her foot touched the first step. You think locking doors changes what you did? Mara shook her head hard, like she could throw the voice out. I did what had to be done. The badge burned slightly in her palm. You didn't finish it. I did, she said, louder, angrier. I ended it. The voice went quiet for a moment. Then it came back, softer than before. No. You carried it home. Mara climbed another step. The air felt colder the higher she went. Her breath came out thin, shaky. Behind her, the front door clicked. Mara froze halfway up the stairs. Slowly, she turned her head. The bolt she had forced shut moments ago slid back on its own, metal scraping in a slow, steady line. "No," she whispered. The door eased open just a crack. Darkness sat on the other side, thick and still. "See," the voice said gently. "It doesn't need to come in." Mara's grip on the rifle loosened for a second, just enough to show the crack forming in her strength. "Because it's already here." The door stayed open behind her, just a few inches, enough to let in a thin strip of dark that didn't move. Mara stood frozen on the stairs, one hand gripping the railing, the other still clutching the badge. Her breath slowed, not from calm, but from something heavier settling into her chest. "Close it," she said quietly. No one moved. "Close it," she snapped louder. The door creaked, but not toward closing. It opened a little wider, like it was listening instead of obeying. "You said it was inside," Mara said, her voice shaking now. "So why's the door open?" A pause stretched long enough to make her jaw tighten. "So you stop pretending," the voice answered. Mara turned back toward the stairs, forcing herself to move. Each step felt harder, like the house didn't want her going up, or maybe wanted it too much. The air thickened, pressing against her skin. "This is my house," she said again, more to herself now. The voice repeated. Her foot reached the top step. The hallway ahead stretched narrow and dim, the cracked mirror at the far end catching what little light there was. She kept her eyes off it this time. A chair scraped downstairs. Mara flinched and turned halfway back. "I told you to stop." "You never told him to stop," the voice said. Her face hardened. "Don't twist it." "Then say it straight." Mara didn't answer. She pushed forward into the hallway, the floorboards creaking under her weight. The bedroom door at the end sat slightly open now. She knew she had left it shut. "You opened it," she said. "No," the voice replied. "You did. Long ago." Another scrape echoed from below, slower this time, like something heavy being dragged across the kitchen floor. Mara swallowed. "There's nothing down there." "Then go look." "I'm not leaving this floor." "Afraid it'll move when you're not watching?" Her jaw tightened. "I'm not afraid." "Say it better." "I'm not afraid of you." The voice gave a faint, dry laugh. "You never were." "That's the problem." Mara stepped closer to the bedroom door. Her hand hovered near it, not touching it. The badge in her other hand felt hotter now, the metal pressing into her skin. "You remember what's in there," the voice said. "I remember enough." "Not all of it." Her fingers brushed the door. It creaked slightly under the light touch. Downstairs, something fell hard. A loud crack split the quiet. Mara jumped, spinning around. "What was that?" "You should check." "No." "What if it's him?" Her grip tightened on the rifle. "He's dead." "Then why do you keep talking like he's not?" Mara's breath came faster again. "I saw him die." "You saw what you wanted." Silence followed, thick and tight. Mara shook her head. "No. I ended it. I made sure." "Did you?" The question hung there, simple and sharp. Another slow step sounded from downstairs. Mara turned fully this time, staring down the stairwell. The darkness below felt deeper now, like it had grown. "Who's down there?" she called out. No answer. "Say something." A faint voice came back, not the same as before. Thinner. Distant. "Mara." Her grip slipped slightly on the rifle. "That's not," she started, then stopped. "Mara, please." Her eyes widened. "No." "You hear that?" the first voice asked softly. "That's not real," Mara said quickly. "That's not her." "Sounds like her." "It's not." "Mara." The voice from below sounded weaker now, like it was struggling. "Help me." Mara took one step toward the stairs without thinking. "Don't," the first voice said. She froze. "Why not?" she asked, almost whispering. "Because you didn't help her then." Mara's face tightened, something breaking through the fear. "I couldn't," she said. "You chose not to." "That's not true." "Then go down there," the voice said calmly. "Help her now." The faint voice below called again, softer this time. "Mara!" Tears burned at the edges of Mara's eyes. She shook her head, backing away from the stairs. "No. No, you don't get to do that." "Do what?" "Use her." Silence answered her. Mara turned back to the bedroom door, her hand shaking as she pushed it open a little more. The room beyond stayed dark, the air inside still and wrong. Behind her, the front door slammed shut. The sound echoed through the house like a gunshot. Mara flinched hard, turning back toward the stairs again. The bolt slid into place on its own. A slow, final click. "You wanted it closed," the voice said. Mara stared down into the darkness below, her chest rising and falling fast. "This house," she whispered. "It listens," the voice finished. The floor beneath her feet creaked again, but this time it wasn't from her weight. It was answering back. The floor creaked again beneath her boots, not from her movement but from something answering her weight, like the house was learning her rhythm. Mara stood still in the hallway, the bedroom door half open in front of her, the stairwell breathing darkness behind her. The badge in her hand burned hotter now, a steady heat that climbed into her wrist. "Stop it," she muttered, squeezing her eyes shut for a second. "You're just memory." "Memory don't bleed like this," the voice replied. A drop hit the floor near her boot. Mara's eyes snapped open. She looked down. Dark red spread slowly across the wood, soaking into the cracks. "No," she whispered. Another drop fell. Then another. Her head tilted up, slow, afraid to see it. The ceiling above her darkened, a stain pushing through the boards. Blood gathered there, thick and heavy, before slipping through in slow drips. "This isn't real," Mara said, louder now, her voice tight. "This isn't real." "Touch it," the voice said. "I'm not touching that." "Then you already know it is." Mara stepped back, but her heel caught the wall behind her. The rifle shook in her hands. A drop landed on her sleeve. She flinched, staring at it like it might move. "Go on," the voice pressed. "Look where it's coming from." Her eyes shifted to the bedroom door. It had opened wider. She knew she hadn't touched it. "I'm not going in there," she said. "You already have." "I locked that room." "You locked what was left." Another drop hit the floor, louder this time. Mara swallowed hard and forced herself forward. One step. Then another. The badge burned against her palm, almost too hot to hold now, but she didn't let go. "You don't get to show me this," she said through clenched teeth. "I don't have to show you," the voice replied. "You remember it." Mara reached the doorway and stopped. The air inside the room felt colder, thick enough to press against her chest. The smell hit her next, faint but sharp, something old and wrong. "I ended it," she said again, softer this time. "Say it like you believe it." "I ended it." "Then why is it still here?" Mara didn't answer. She stepped into the room. The bed sat against the far wall, untouched, covered in a thin layer of dust. The window was shut tight, boards nailed across it from the outside. The chair in the corner faced the wall like someone had left it there on purpose. Another drop hit the floor beside her. Mara looked up again. The ceiling above the center of the room bulged slightly, dark and wet. "Look closer," the voice said. "I don't need to." "You do." Her hand tightened around the rifle. "He's dead." "Then why do you still carry him?" The words hit harder than she expected. Mara took another step into the room, her boot sticking slightly where the blood had begun to pool. "I carried justice," she said. "You carried anger." "He deserved it." So did the rest? Mara's head snapped to the side. Don't. Don't what? Don't twist it like that. I don't have to twist anything, the voice said calmly. It's already bent. The badge burned sharply, making her gasp. She looked down at it. The metal glowed faintly now, the star shape catching a light that wasn't there. Don't talk about him, she said again, her voice breaking. He never stopped talking about you. The room shifted slightly, like something had moved just out of sight. Mara turned fast, raising the rifle. Show yourself, she shouted. Silence answered. Then a voice cut through, not the same as before. Clear. Familiar. You think anyone will believe you? Mara froze. No, she whispered. The air in the room thickened. The chair in the corner creaked as it slowly turned, inch by inch, until it faced her. I don't need them to, Mara said, her voice shaking as the words came out before she could stop them. You're already dead, the man's voice said. Mara's breath caught. The memory hit her all at once. The room. The chair. The way he had looked at her, like nothing she said mattered. She tightened her grip on the rifle. You don't get to say that again. You never stopped me the first time. That's not true, she snapped. I stopped you. Did you? The word echoed, low and heavy. Mara blinked hard. The room snapped back into place. The chair sat still again. The blood on the ceiling was gone. Her chest heaved as she looked around. Nothing. Just dust. Silence. The boarded window. Her hand shook as she lifted the badge closer to her face. It wasn't glowing anymore. But it was still warm. Too warm. Mara swallowed and lowered it slowly. This isn't over, the voice said quietly. She stared at the floor, then at the door behind her. No, Mara said under her breath. It isn't. Mara stood in the doorway for a long moment, rifle lowered but not safe, her breath shallow like the house was stealing it one piece at a time. The room ahead didn't change, but it didn't feel still either. It felt aware, like it had been waiting for her longer than she had been alive. The badge in her hand cooled slightly, then pulsed warm again, like a heartbeat she didn't own. You said you ended it, the voice murmured. I did, Mara answered quickly. Then why are you shaking? She tightened her grip. Because you're trying to break me. A faint laugh moved through the room, not loud, not mocking, just tired. No. I'm showing you what you already broke. Mara stepped inside fully now, boots sinking slightly into dust that felt too soft, too fresh. The bed in the corner remained untouched, but the air above it felt heavier, like something had recently left and hadn't decided where to go next. The boarded window creaked once, though no wind touched it. Her eyes locked on the center of the room. The chair. It was still facing her. You didn't leave it like this, she said. No, the voice replied. You did. Mara shook her head. I locked this door. You nailed wood to wood, the voice corrected. That's not the same thing. Her jaw tightened. What do you want? The silence stretched before the answer came. For you to look. Mara didn't move. Look, it said again, sharper now. Her eyes dropped slowly, reluctantly, to the floor beneath the chair. The wood was darker there. Not blood now, but stain. Old. Settled deep like it had soaked into the house itself instead of the surface. No, she whispered. You remember, the voice pressed. I don't. You do. Her grip tightened until her knuckles went white. I don't remember it like this. The chair creaked. Mara flinched hard, raising the rifle instantly. Stop that. Sit down, the voice said softly. I'm not sitting. Sit down, Mara. Her name in that tone made her stomach twist. Not command. Not threat. Something worse. Familiar. Her feet moved before she agreed. One step forward. Then another. She stopped right in front of the chair. "I didn't come back for this," she said quietly. "You came back because it never left you." Mara's hand shook as she lowered herself into the chair. The wood groaned under her weight, like it remembered her better than she did. The moment she sat, the room shifted slightly, as if it exhaled. "No," she said quickly, trying to stand again. The chair held her. Her body froze. "What is this?" she demanded. "Truth," the voice said. "I didn't ask for it. You never do." The badge in her hand pulsed harder now, almost painfully. She looked down at it again, breathing faster. "This badge," she said. "Why do I have this?" A pause. "Because you took it." "I didn't." "You did." Mara's vision blurred for a second, just a flicker. The room changed shape, not fully, but enough. The chair wasn't empty anymore. Someone sat across from her now, just out of full focus. She stiffened. "No," she whispered. "No, you're not here." A voice answered from the blur. "You think anyone will believe you?" Mara's breath caught. "Stop." The figure leaned forward slightly. The sheriff's voice again, calm, heavy. "You came to my house," it said. "I didn't," Mara snapped instantly. "You came to mine." A low sound echoed in the room, almost like amusement. "Same thing," the voice replied. Mara's grip tightened on the badge until it hurt. "You hurt them." Silence. "Then, and you finished it." Her eyes snapped up. "I stopped you." The figure didn't move. "You started something else." The room seemed to tilt slightly, just enough to make her stomach tighten. The chair beneath her creaked again, locking her in place without chains. Mara's voice lowered, breaking slightly. "I ended it. I burned it down." A pause. "Yes," the voice said. "You did." That answer made her hesitate. The figure faded a little more, becoming less solid, more memory than presence. Mara swallowed. "Then why is it still here?" The room answered this time without delay. "Because fire doesn't kill what's already inside people." Her breath stopped. The chair loosened slightly, just enough for her to stand if she wanted. But she didn't move. The badge in her hand cooled completely now. Too fast. Mara looked down at it. For the first time, she saw something she hadn't before. A second engraving, faint beneath the sheriff's star. Her name. Her throat tightened. "No," she said again, quieter now. The voice softened. "You didn't just take it," it said. "You inherited it." The chair creaked one last time as if releasing her. Mara stood slowly, stepping back. The figure across from her was gone again. But the room was not empty anymore. It remembered her too clearly for that. Mara stepped back from the chair, breathing hard, the badge burning cold now like it had changed its mind about her. The room didn't shift back to normal. It stayed slightly wrong, like reality had been bent and left unfinished. Dust hung in the air without settling. The boarded window creaked once more, slow and deliberate, like something on the other side was listening. "You see it now," the voice said. Mara shook her head. "No. I don't see anything." Boots sounded behind her. "Not upstairs. Not outside. Inside the room." Mara froze. The sound stopped just a step away. "You're imagining it," she whispered. A pause. Then a voice answered, low and steady. "No." Mara turned slowly. He was there. Not a shadow. Not a trick of light. Sheriff Hayes stood in the center of the room like he had never left it. Hat still on. Face calm. Eyes fixed on her like she had walked into his office instead of his grave. Mara's breath caught so hard it hurt. "No," she said again, louder. "No, you're not real." The sheriff tilted his head slightly. You always said that before things got hard. Mara raised the rifle instantly, hands shaking. Stay back. He didn't move. You think that helps? He asked quietly. Don't talk to me, she snapped. I used to like when you spoke louder, he said. Means you were unsure. Mara's finger tightened on the trigger, but she didn't fire. Her arms wouldn't settle. You're dead, she said. I watched it happen. Sheriff Hayes smiled faintly. You watched what you needed to see. That's not true. He stepped forward one slow pace. The floor didn't creak under him. Mara flinched anyway. Stop, she warned. He stopped, but only because he wanted to. Not because she told him to. You made a mess, he said. I cleaned it, she shot back. He glanced around the room. This doesn't look clean. Mara's voice rose. You don't get to judge anything anymore. A quiet beat passed between them. Then he said, softer, almost conversational. You think killing me ended what I was? Mara swallowed hard. It ended you. No, he said. It started you. Her grip tightened so hard her knuckles turned white. I did what I had to, she said. That's what all of you say, he replied. Mara's breathing turned uneven. All of me? His eyes flicked to the badge in her hand. You wear it better than I did, he said. She looked down at it for a split second, like it had betrayed her. Don't look at that, she said sharply. Why not? He asked. It's mine. He gave a faint, tired laugh. That's what I thought too. Mara's jaw tightened. You stole from them. From everyone. Sheriff Hayes nodded slowly. And you took it back in blood. I ended you. He stepped closer again, and this time Mara backed up without thinking. No, he said. You tried to. Her breath hitched. The voice in the room, her voice, or something like it, whispered behind her. You remember now. Mara shook her head harder. No. Stop. Both of you, stop. Sheriff Hayes looked past her, like he could see something standing just behind her shoulder. You hear it too, don't you? He asked. Mara didn't answer. You didn't kill the system, he said calmly. You just moved it. Her voice broke slightly. I burned your house down. He nodded. And watched the town cheer. I was protecting people. From me, he said. Yes. He stepped closer again. Now he was close enough that Mara could smell nothing at all. No life. No breath. Just absence. You didn't protect them, he said. You chose who got to burn. Mara's rifle trembled. That's not fair, she said. He tilted his head. Justice never is. A silence stretched. Then Mara whispered, Why are you still here? Sheriff Hayes looked at her for a long moment. No anger. No fear. Just patience. Because you never finished what you started, he said. Her voice dropped. I shot you. He nodded. Yes. I buried you. Yes. I left you in the fire. Yes. Her eyes filled with something she refused to let fall. Then why aren't you gone? He stepped back slightly, and the room felt colder. Because I'm not the part that didn't die, he said. Mara's breath stopped. Behind her, something creaked softly in the hallway outside the room. The sheriff looked toward it, then back at her. You brought something back with you, he said. Mara whispered, barely audible. I didn't bring anything. The sheriff's expression didn't change. That's what they all think, he said. The hallway creak came again. Closer this time. Mara didn't turn. She didn't have to. Sheriff Hayes faded slightly at the edges, like his presence was splitting between him and something else. Now you understand, he said quietly. Mara's voice broke fully now. Understand what? He looked at her one last time. That it didn't stay dead. The hallway went silent. And then something inside it moved closer. The hallway outside the room went still again, but not empty. Mara felt it without seeing it, like pressure changing in the air before a storm breaks. Sheriff Hayes stood where he was, half-fated now, like the house couldn't decide if it wanted him solid or gone. The badge in Mara's hand felt dead cold again, heavier than before. You brought them with you, the sheriff said quietly. Mara shook her head fast. No. I didn't bring anything. A faint sound rose from the walls. Not footsteps this time. Voices. Layered. Distant. Familiar. Stay quiet. Don't make trouble. He owns the law. Mara's breath tightened. Stop it. The voices didn't stop. They grew louder. I said stop it, she snapped, turning toward the hallway. Sheriff Hayes watched her without moving. You hear them now. I don't want to hear anything, she said. But the house didn't listen. The voices came from everywhere at once, slipping through cracks in the wood, under the door, behind the boards nailed to the window. Please don't say anything. He'll come for us too. We didn't see nothing. Mara pressed her free hand against her ear. No. No, this isn't real. It's very real, the sheriff said. She spun back to him. You did this. He didn't deny it. Mara's voice cracked. You made them scared. They were already scared, he replied calmly. Of you. He nodded once. And of what I allowed. The words hit her harder than she expected. The hallway creaked again. Closer now. Mara turned slowly, rifle lifting on instinct. I said stop hiding, she shouted into the dark. The voices didn't answer her directly. They overlapped instead, as if speaking over one another from inside the walls. You burned his place. We told her not to. She didn't listen. Mara's grip tightened. You all knew. The voices went quiet for half a second. Then one spoke clearly. We knew. Her breath caught. Another voice followed. And we stayed quiet. Mara shook her head slowly. No. You can't say that now. Sheriff Hayes stepped slightly closer again, his presence stabilizing for a moment. They never left it either. Mara's eyes flicked between him and the hallway. This is about you. It was never just about me, he said. The hallway darkened further, like something stepped into it but stayed just out of sight. A woman's voice came through, sharper now. You said you'd protect us. Mara froze. That's not, she started, then stopped. Another voice, older, tired. You made us choose. Mara's chest tightened. I didn't make you do anything. The voices overlapped again, louder now. You did. You came with fire. You didn't ask who was inside. Mara stepped back without meaning to, until her shoulders hit the wall behind her. Sheriff Hayes watched her carefully. You remember the night. Mara shook her head harder. No. But the house didn't care. The memory came anyway. Firelight. Screaming. The smell of wood and oil and something worse. Doors breaking. People running. Not all of them guilty. Not all of them ready. Mara's voice came out low. They were supposed to leave. Sheriff Hayes nodded slightly. Some didn't know they had to. Her hands started shaking. I told them. I warned them. Did you warn the children? He asked softly. Mara's throat tightened. Silence answered first. Then the voices came back, quieter now. Please. We didn't understand. I was just sleeping. Mara's rifle dipped slightly. No, she whispered. No, I didn't want. Sheriff Hayes interrupted gently. You wanted it to stop. Mara looked at him, eyes wet now but refusing to fall apart. Yes. And it did, he said. She frowned. No. It didn't. The sheriff tilted his head. It stopped being what it was. The hallway creaked again. Now it felt closer than ever. Mara whispered, What is it then? Sheriff Hayes looked past her toward the dark. Something that remembers, he said. The voices rose again, louder, no longer separate. You left us there. You left us burning. You left us quiet. Mara covered her mouth with her hand for a second, like it might stop what she was hearing. I didn't mean, she started. But the words failed her. The sheriff spoke softly behind her. Meaning doesn't change outcome. The hallway went silent again. Then one final voice broke through everything, closer than the rest. Mara! Her whole body stiffened. That voice wasn't the town. It wasn't him. It was someone else. Someone she couldn't deny. And the silence that followed felt like it was waiting for her to answer. Mara didn't answer the voice. She couldn't. The name hung in the air anyway, like it had weight, like it pressed into her chest and refused to leave. The hallway outside the room went completely still again, but this time the silence felt wrong in a different way. Not empty. Held back. Like something was being restrained just beyond the edge of hearing. Sheriff Hayes stood near the doorway now, fully visible again, watching her carefully. You heard it, he said. Mara's voice came out thin. No. Yes, he replied. Her grip tightened on the rifle. That wasn't real. The sheriff didn't argue. It was yours. Mara shook her head fast, like movement could erase it. Stop saying that. A faint heat began to rise in the air. Not from a source she could see. Just, everywhere. The wood under her boots felt warmer. Mara looked down. A thin line of orange light crept along the floorboard seam. No, she whispered. The sheriff's expression stayed calm. You brought it back with you. I didn't bring anything back, she snapped, louder now. The light spread. Slow. Patient. Like it remembered the shape of fire. Mara stepped back instinctively, but the hallway behind her was already glowing faintly too. Not flames yet. Just memory of flames. Her voice rose. This isn't happening. Sheriff Hayes tilted his head. It already did. The temperature climbed again. The boards under the walls flickered with faint orange pulses, like something beneath them was breathing heat into the house. Mara's breathing turned sharp. I only burned what needed to burn. The sheriff nodded once. That's what you told yourself. Mara turned on him fast. It was you. A pause. Then he answered quietly. And them. Her face tightened. No. Don't. The light spread further, crawling now along the edges of the room. The chair in the center creaked again, though nothing touched it. Mara's voice cracked. I didn't want them there. You didn't stop it, he said. I didn't know. That doesn't stop fire, he replied. The word hit harder than the rest. Fire. The room seemed to listen to it. Mara stepped forward suddenly, anger breaking through fear. They were supposed to leave. The sheriff didn't move. Some couldn't. I warned them. Not enough, he said. Her breath shook. I didn't mean for them to. Her voice broke. The firelight grew brighter. Not flames yet, but close enough that her skin felt it. Behind her, the voices returned. Not many now. Just a few. Softer. Broken. You said it was safe. We trusted you. I didn't get out. Mara turned sharply toward the sound. Stop it. But the voices didn't stop. They layered into each other again, rising slowly. You burned us. You left us. You forgot us. Mara dropped her gaze, jaw clenched so tight it hurt. I didn't forget, she said quietly. Sheriff Hayes stepped closer, voice lower now. Then why are they still here? She didn't answer. The heat increased again, and now the edges of the room flickered with visible flamelight, though nothing was fully burning yet. Just the suggestion of it. Like the house was remembering how to catch fire. Mara's hand trembled around the rifle. This is your fault. The sheriff shook his head slightly. It became yours the moment you lit it. I was stopping you. You were choosing, he corrected. Her eyes burned now, but she didn't blink. They were never supposed to be part of it. The sheriff's voice softened. But they were. A long silence followed. Then Mara whispered, almost to herself. I can still fix it. The sheriff looked at her for a moment. No, he said gently. Her head snapped up. Yes. I can. You can't undo what remembers, he said. The firelight brightened again, and now the walls seemed to breathe with it, like the house itself was becoming a memory of burning rather than a structure of wood. Mara stepped back until she hit the wall again. I didn't kill them, she said suddenly, voice breaking. I didn't mean to. The voices outside rose one last time, overlapping into a single broken sound. You did. The word echoed. Not loud. Final. Mara closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them again, the sheriff was closer than before. Not threatening. Just present. You didn't just end something, he said. Her voice barely held. What did I do then? The firelight flickered across his face. You started something that doesn't know how to end, he said. The room went quiet again. But this time, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt awake. Mara turned fast, like movement could outrun what the house was becoming. The heat behind her didn't fade. It followed her like breath on the back of her neck, steady and patient. Sheriff Hayes didn't chase her, but his presence stayed in the room like a weight she couldn't drop. She pushed into the hallway. The floorboards groaned under her boots, but they didn't feel like wood anymore. They felt warmer. Almost alive. The light from the room behind her spilled out in flickers, chasing her forward without fully reaching her. Stop, she muttered to herself. Just stop. No answer. She moved faster. The stairwell was ahead. The only way down. The only way out. She reached it and didn't hesitate. Took the steps 2 at a time, breath tight, rifle low but ready. Halfway down, she froze. The front door stood open. Not broken. Not forced. Just open. A thin strip of outside darkness waited beyond it. Mara stared at it, chest rising fast. No. She reached the bottom of the stairs and walked straight to it. Finally, she whispered. Her hand reached for the door. Behind her, a voice spoke softly. You already tried that. Mara didn't turn. Not again. Her fingers touched the wood. Cold. Real. She pushed it open fully and stepped forward. Wind brushed her face. Then she was inside again. Mara stumbled back, breath catching hard. The door stood shut in front of her. No, she said quickly, shaking her head. No, I stepped out. The voice behind her answered calmly. You didn't. She spun around. Sheriff Hayes stood at the bottom of the stairs now, watching her. You saw it, she snapped. I went outside. He nodded once. You wanted to. Mara's voice rose. I did it. No, he said again. She turned back to the door and grabbed the handle harder this time. Open. It opened. She stepped through. The same house. Same stairs. Same silence. Mara froze. Her breath came out sharp. This isn't possible. The sheriff's voice came from behind her again, closer than before. It is. She turned, panic tightening her throat. Where am I going wrong? He didn't answer right away. The house creaked gently around them. Then he said, "There is no outside in a place built on what you buried." Mara shook her head fast. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to, he replied. She turned back to the door again, slower this time, like she didn't want to believe it anymore. Her hand hovered over the handle. Just let me leave, she whispered. No answer. She pulled it open again. Same house. Same air. Same impossible return. Mara stepped back, breathing uneven now. It's looping. The sheriff nodded. It remembers. Her grip tightened on the rifle. I didn't build this. You fed it, he said. Mara's voice cracked slightly. I'm not doing this anymore. She turned and ran. Back toward the stairs. Back into the house. Anywhere but the door. The hallway stretched longer than it should have. The distance didn't match her steps. The house was adjusting itself as she moved through it. No, she muttered. No, stop it. She reached another door. She didn't remember it being there. Her hand hit the handle before she thought. It opened into the same hallway behind her. She stumbled back, breath catching hard. No, she whispered again, quieter now. The sheriff stood at the far end of the hall, not following, just waiting. You keep looking for exit points, he said. Mara's voice trembled. There has to be one. He shook his head slightly. Not in something that began with a lock. She stared at him. Then what is this? He answered without hesitation. A consequence. The hallway lights dimmed slightly, like the house agreed. Mara backed up until her shoulder hit the wall. Her breathing turned shallow, uneven. I can fix it, she said again, but it sounded less certain now. Sheriff Hayes watched her carefully. You already tried fixing it with fire, he said. Mara's eyes tightened. I didn't mean. You did, he interrupted softly. Silence pressed in again. The house creaked once more. Not loud. Just final. Mara looked down the hallway again, then at every door she could see. All of them still led back inside. Mara stopped running. Not because she wanted to. Because the house stopped letting the hallway continue in a way that made sense. The wall seemed closer now, breathing in and out like something trapped inside them was trying to match her heartbeat. Every door she passed had already become something else the moment she looked at it. She stood in the middle of the corridor, chest rising fast, rifle lowered but still in her hands like a habit she couldn't drop. This isn't real, she whispered. No answer came right away. Then her own voice answered her. It is. Mara froze. That wasn't the sheriff. That wasn't the house. That was her. She turned slowly. The hallway behind her looked normal for half a second. Then the reflection in the glass of a small wall frame shifted first. Not the picture. Her reflection. It smiled before she did. No, Mara said instantly. No, you don't get to do that. The reflection stepped out of the glass like it was thin water instead of wood and frame. Same face. Same eyes. But the stillness in it felt wrong. Too calm. Too sure. You're not me, Mara said, raising the rifle again. The reflection tilted its head. I am what you left behind. Mara tightened her grip. I didn't leave anything behind. A soft laugh. That's what you tell yourself so you can sleep. Mara shook her head hard. Stop talking like me. I always talk like you, it said. You just didn't listen. The hallway behind them seemed to narrow slightly, like the house was leaning in. Mara's voice cracked. "Where is he?" she demanded. The reflection didn't move. He was never the point. Mara's jaw tightened. "Sheriff Hayes." "He's just a shape," it said. "A way your mind gave the guilt a face." Mara stepped back. "No. He's real." The reflection smiled again. "So am I." A silence stretched. Then the reflection's voice softened. "You know what I am," it said. Mara's throat tightened. "No." "Yes." "I didn't." "You did," it interrupted gently. "Every time you chose to keep going." Mara's breathing turned uneven. "I stopped him." The reflection nodded. "And then you became what filled the space." Mara raised the rifle fully now. "Stop." The reflection didn't flinch. "You can't shoot what you already are." Her finger hovered over the trigger. But her hand wasn't steady anymore. Behind her, the house creaked softly. "Not warning. Agreement." Mara whispered, "I'm not you." The reflection stepped closer. "Then why do you still hear me when you're alone?" it asked. Mara didn't answer. Because she did. Because she always had. The reflection stopped just in front of her now. Close enough that Mara could see every detail she refused to recognize. "You burned it," it said softly. "And you called it justice." Mara's voice broke. It was justice. The reflection tilted its head again. Or it was hunger. Mara shook her head. "No. You didn't stop at him." The words landed heavier than anything before. Mara's grip loosened slightly. The reflection watched her carefully. "You remember now." Mara whispered, barely audible, "I didn't mean them." "But you didn't stop," it said. The hallway behind them flickered faintly, like memory trying to overwrite itself. Mara stepped back again. "I tried." The reflection stepped with her. "You chose the fire," it said. Mara's voice rose slightly. "I chose to end it." The reflection's tone stayed calm. "You chose to make sure no one could ever question you again." That one hit differently. Mara froze. The rifle lowered a fraction without her realizing it. "No," she whispered. The reflection leaned closer. "Say it." Mara shook her head. "No." "Say what you did." "I stopped him," she said again, weaker now. The reflection didn't blink. "And then?" Mara's throat tightened. Images flickered behind her eyes. Not just him. Not just the sheriff. The town. The people. The choices. The fire that didn't care what was guilty and what wasn't. Her voice came out broken. I kept going." The reflection nodded slowly.